name's Enzo, your host.
Hi, I'm Isabel Sayed, your co-host today.
And we're in the Côte Saint-Luc area of Montreal interviewing two practitioners, the first of which is Kelly Roughton. Hello Kelly, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Enzo?
Good, good.
And Isabel.
So you call yourself a healing co-pilot. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I call myself a healing journey co-pilot.
Okay.
So for someone who's on a healing journey, I consider that what I do is I'm not there to give them the answers. I feel like I'm like the Sherpa. I'm the person with the tools. They come to me, they're stuck with something, or like they're trying to climb this particular peak and they're having trouble with it. So they call me. I go there with my little sturdy tools and we try out the tools and see which ones work best. Mm-hmm. And that helps them move to the next.
So you refine their journey.
Yeah, I give them sometimes perspective because they're not seeing stuff. I know that most of our issues are about perspective. And if we clear the perspective, if we change our perception of something, if we look through a different window, that we're going to find answers that weren't there before.
One thing we forgot to mention, she's an EFT practitioner and a hypnotist. Now, there's something on your site that said you're a spiritual hypnotist. What do you mean by that?
I don't do the average typical hypnosis. I'm much more interested in exploring. In fact, I start with the body. We start by scanning the body. We start actually by saying what is the problem you want to work on, and where do you feel that in your body. And then we dig into that part of the body, not physically, obviously, just with the mind. We start exploring, asking the body to speak, mm-hmm. and just using the imagination to find out what's going on there. And the mind gives incredible symbolism and incredible. Sometimes it's past life stuff, sometimes it's just symbolic, but once we have the symbols, we can work with them and find ways to change those symbols.
So would you say there's certain energies, entities even, in certain parts of the body?
I have found, I don't know if they really are, I can't swear that that's what we're dealing with, but that's how the mind perceives it, and what the mind perceives it experiences that way.
The client's mind? The
client's mind, yes.
So, for example, so what kind of energies or entities are we talking about that people have perceived or felt?
I've had anything from like a scarf around someone's neck to what I would call a full-on dark one, which is like a fallen angel type of very dark entity that can, be very, swear at you or be very aggressive. But everything can be met with light. Mm. So because they're all light, and they just need to remember that they're light, and to help them transform.
So speaking of tools, so we were talking about the hypnosis that you use, the EFT, and you mentioned that what I was really interested in is you said you don't do typical hypnosis, mm-hmm. And that you do something more spiritual, and so I'm just curious. I'm guessing that some people might come to you and have a block or not feel they're not connected to their body and not necessarily aware of what's blocking them. Can you give us an example of maybe a time that you worked with someone through that kind of issue and what can come out of that, of using hypnosis?
Usually I have a tendency to work with people who are, if not completely aware of their bodies, they're at least emotionally and spiritually aware. So even if they're not sure of what something is in their body, they don't necessarily sense it, mm-hmm. they will have an idea about where it is.
Right.
They'll just have an image in their mind of what it is, or even we can even just go with what image they have of what that means to them. I'm thinking of a client that I had who came to me she had been told that there was a specific problem that she had to deal with. And it's funny because she came in with a back issue, but we didn't work on the back issue. We worked on an emotional issue that she had. But after the first session, when she came back, and I do really long sessions. My sessions are usually 2 to 3.5 hours. Wow. Because they're very in depth. We go very deep into the problem, and I don't stop until I feel like it's cleared. Or we've done what we can do. There seems to, I always feel that there's a natural end to a session. Mm-hmm. So, and that's my hypnosis sessions. EFT sessions are more like an hour and a half, something like that, okay. Which is it's not the same thing. so she came in with a specific emotional issue, and the very next session that she had, she came back, she said, the back is getting better. And we didn't even know it was related.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing, we don't always understand that our body is reacting to emotional or mental or energies that are around us.
And in this case, did you intuitively address that, that other issue? Was it something that came from her, or did you sense something? Does that happen as well?
Sometimes I'll get what I call hits, but mostly I'm following what the client is presenting. For me, the client's subconscious mind has all of the answers.
Right.
I will, however, as I'm speaking, it's like I go into, as the person expresses to me what's going on for them, what they're experiencing, because I ask them questions back and forth. And as they express themselves, I'm able to see the world that they're saying. The way they describe it, I will see it. And so I will be aware of what they're not describing, what they are describing, and I'll ask them questions about the things they're not mentioning. So that then they become aware of that as well. And that's where I feel that's where the transformation happens, is when you start seeing the things that you weren't able to see before.
So a two-part question next. What are some of the principles of EFT? So if someone didn't know what EFT tapping is, how would you explain it?
It's emotional freedom techniques. So the basis is that we're trying to interact with an emotion. That's the underlying thing. However, we can use body sensations as well, and we can use just looping thoughts to approach a problem. Emotional freedom techniques, we call it tapping. We're tapping on acupuncture points.
Meridians?
And meridians, yeah. It's based on the same principles as acupuncture.
Okay.
But it's gentle, there's no needles involved, it's just tapping. I always say I can be naked and alone in the woods and still be able to tap myself out of my concern about that, or my problem with that.
And I think what's cool too, speaking of being naked and alone out in the woods, is that's what's so empowering. I think about EFT is, and you bring up a good point, is that anyone can do it, and they don't need someone to be there with them, or a script, or I mean, it's really comes from us. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
It comes from your emotions, your issues, your vision of something. So all I'm doing when I'm working with someone is repeating the words that they give me. They'll express to me what their problem is, and I will take their words and feed them right back to them.
Yeah.
That's how EFT works. I will occasionally get like an intuitive hit on something. They're not expressing a certain word, and I get a word and I'll say it, and they'll say either yes or no. I'll say, does that resonate? Does that, or they'll right away, they'll grab that word and go, oh yes, that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's when I know
Really powerful.
I'm hitting.
So apart from the principles, what about personal skills? Because you mentioned intuitive hits, do you consider yourself empathic or an intuitive in a sense? Or does it come and go? Like, how does that work for you?
For me, it's kind of like I do in hypnosis. I end up kind of digging in. I'm very present to what the client is saying to me, what the person is expressing about their experience, negative or positive. And as I listen to them, it's like I dive into their world, and from that I'm able to, I won't say be them, but it's probably more of an empathic thing like that. I will get words occasionally, actual words, but usually I just feel like it's my own. Well, if I was in that situation, this is what I'd be feeling. This is what I'd be experiencing. It seems as simple as that, but I know that some of it just comes flowing in, and it's like, oh yeah, this is what I need to say, and I just allow it. I don't stop it, and if I just watch the person's reaction, I'm very sensitive to the physical cues of what's happening for people. The eyes closing, the face opening up, or the shaking of the eyelids. Just these are also hypnotic cues as well.
So you were saying that that EFT is something that people can learn to do, or they can take home as well. So I was just wondering, are you doing any? Do you give any classes or workshops to help teach people how to do this on their own whenever they need it?
I do, because that was what I loved about it. Like you said, it's very empowering. And I found it was the thing that I adored. I remember when I first started really using it, that I had woken up in the middle of the night with my clenching chest and like anxiety at 2 o'clock in the morning. So I'm going through my options. Oh, I can call my mother. That's a great idea. She'll love me to wake her up at 2 a.m. and then she won't. Neither of us will go back to bed. Or I can find a therapist. Oh, it's going to take me a week to find a therapist. Blah blah blah. Oh well, I'll try this tapping thing. So I tried the tapping in 2 rounds. I was fine and I went back to sleep. In the morning I woke up and said, I went back to sleep? What? Hallelujah. So as soon as I realized that it was so amazing that I could do it myself, I didn't have to wait for anyone to help me or to feel, it really gave me my own power back. And I started applying it whenever I needed it. So I love to teach it to people for that reason. I have a class coming up actually that's called Healing Tools for Life, and EFT is one of the tools. There's a bunch of other ones that I'm going to teach as well.
Okay, can you tell us a bit more about that class? What are some of the tools, and who do you think will be coming to that?
And is it an ongoing class or just?
It's going to be every second week for about 6 months. There's 12 classes. So by the end, that's my idea, is by the end, the people will have used the tools so many times that they will be natural for them to use them. Because that's what happens. We go to see one workshop. For a week and a half afterwards, we use the tool and then we forget it and we leave it behind. But because they'll be recurring and bringing, and each different class that we're going to hold, I'm doing it at River Rain Spiritual Center out in St. Anne. And when every single class will have a different focus. So there'll be one on relationship, there'll be one on spirituality, on money issues, job, work issues, people issues, whatever. So each different time, you'll learn to apply the tools to those problems. So by the end, hopefully, the tools will become natural and you'll see how they work on all different kinds of things.
So to go a bit further into that, two-part question again. What kind of people come to see you and how often? You were hinting at that maybe 1 or 2 sessions, that's it. It's not the kind of therapy where they need to come like every week for 3 months.
No, I tend to work with women who are about my own age, who have pretty much the same style as I am, or have definitely on a spiritual path. That's why I call myself a healing journey co-pilot, because people are already on a healing journey when they come to me. They've done a lot of work of their own, and they're just stuck at something, or they know that EFT is a good tool, or they know that the kind of work that I do is work that will help them. So they come to me and we work on that particular problem. So it will last how long it takes to clear that particular issue. You know, if it's a particular pattern that they're experiencing, we can just work until that pattern is cleared. And I have clients that tend to just come back. They invite themselves back.
So maybe every 6 months they'll come back, or every 3 months?
Yeah, or if they have an issue that comes up and they go, oh, this is bugging me, I want to work on that, they'll call me. But as I say, they kind of just invite themselves.
So do you think it would be feasible to maybe do a little demonstration now of EFT, of tapping, and what would we start with?
Is that an issue? The heat.
Has anything come up during the full moon for anyone? We're just coming out of it now.
You know what, I'm curious about how, I'm wondering if tapping is something that could help with clarity about, like for me personally, for example, and I'll be totally open and transparent about it, I'd love to work on what's next. Can EFT actually help with feeling kind of unclear about what is the next step? Where am I headed?
I would say that you can use it that way. You can use it kind of for anything. Yeah. It's not as easy because it's not as clear what the issue is. Obviously, EFT is emotional freedom technique. So the more there's an emotion related to it, the more we're going to be able to work with it. At the same time, it's not just emotion based. So I often work with metaphors. So if you have a metaphor for your clarity issue, what would that look like? How unclear is it? How do you see that lack of clarity?
Good question. Sort of like, there's a fog, where it was really clear, the path was really clear, and then all of a sudden the mist and the fog is coming in, and right at the time when there's a fork.
Okay, so you're able to see the fork?
And is there
an emotion related to it? Good question, Enzo.
I had to slide it in there.
impatience, maybe frustration.
We could start with that.
Just feeling lost, you know, when things are clear and what feels like suddenly, but clearly it's never suddenly. It's just over time we evolve and find that suddenly the usual formula just doesn't do the trick anymore. I'm kind of done with that. Next,
So just go with that image,
yeah.
and just tap on it. And so you start by tapping on the side of the hand, just tap the way I do. And Enzo can tap along as in support, and Jenny, who's also watching from the sidelines.
Thanks, Jenny. Thanks, Enzo.
And
Anyone else tapping?
So even though I'm not feeling clear,
Even though I'm not feeling clear,
I can see all of these beginnings of forks.
I can see all these beginnings of forks.
Of roads or
of paths.
Options. And then there's this fog.
And then there's this fog.
I can't see any further.
I can't see any further.
And I'm feeling a little frustrated about that.
And I'm feeling a little frustrated. I'm really frustrated.
I'm really frustrated. Okay, that's good. Thank you for correcting me. I'm feeling really frustrated about that. And what's the other emotion you said?
Confused.
Impatience.
And impatience. Yeah, the frustration and impatience comes together, but confused. Just really confused. Yeah.
That's just how I'm feeling right now.
Then that's how I'm feeling right now.
Top of the head. This frustration.
This frustration.
Feeling confused.
Feeling
Eyebrow.
confused.
Side of the eye. I'm feeling confused.
I'm feeling confused.
Under the eye. I'm frustrated.
And frustrated.
Under the nose with this lack of clarity.
With this lack of clarity.
I can see all these options.
I can see all these options.
All these paths.
All these paths.
And it's not clear.
And it's not clear.
Collarbone. There's this fog.
There's this fog.
I can't see through it.
And I can't see through it.
Can't see down the paths.
I can't see down the paths.
To see which one I want to take.
To see which one I want to take.
Under the arm. This lack of clarity.
This lack of clarity.
Just take a breath. And tune back into the image. Let's see if it appears any different.
I'm standing at a different point. Before, I felt like I was more removed, and I was standing really far from the fork. And when I saw it now, I was really right at that like triangle where all the paths intersect, and just felt a lot more present. I didn't see very much further there, but I just felt like it's interesting because I've tapped before, but I haven't necessarily gotten any intuition or seen any metaphors. But what I felt or what I saw was more like, or the message was that to take my focus or vision away from there and bring it here, and to do more practices that will get me present and connecting, and that it's as simple as that, really, right? Just stop looking far, away and away. This is where it's happening, and this is where the wisdom and the knowledge is.
Brilliant.
So is that helpful? I guess if I needed one more reason to meditate regularly, there we have it, folks.
Do you want to go global? Do you want your reach to go beyond local? Or are we just strictly talking about the US? Because you have friends in the US in the EFT field.
Yeah, a lot of the EFT community that I connect with is in the States because there's not a lot. There is some in Montreal, but somehow we're not that connected, the Montreal EFTers. But anyway, I do. So I have a lot of friends in the States, and I go to conferences that's where the big EFT conferences are. There's one in Toronto as well. I've never been. I don't know why. The States drew me. So I've been going there. I've given a couple of talks at those conferences, and I'm actually involved in organizing one that's coming up.
So can you tell us a little bit more about that fair you're doing?
Yeah, the fair is called the Autumn Energy Event, and it will take place November 3rd and 4th. It's not just EFT based, there's quite a bit of EFT involved, and it was started by people who are mostly interested, or their connection together is EFT.
Can you give names?
Sure. Lucy Monroe is the one who organized it. She's the one who came. It was her brainchild, and she's the one who she's heading it. And we're a group of volunteers. It's a low budget, not low budget. It's a very, really good, high quality event, but she's charging very little for it.
So you can tell us how much it is and how long? Is it 2 days?
Yeah, it's the 2 days. This Saturday, Sunday, November 3rd and 4th. It's from 9 in the morning till 9 at night on the Saturday, 9 to 5 on the, and it's only $50 for both days.
And
Wow,
which state?
that's
Which
super
state?
Yeah,
accessible.
it's Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
It's
So
Worcester.
it's not that far.
No, well, it's about 6-hour drive.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
so it's like going to Boston. It's
Right.
pretty similar.
So Kelly, we know that you have a website, you're on Facebook as well. How do you encourage people to get in touch with you if they want to have a session or get to know a little more about what you're doing, your events?
I do have a website. It's innershining.com, INNERSHINING. Sometimes people put extra N's where they don't belong. So. .com. So Inner Shining, or you just look up my name on Kelly Roughton. There's not 85 of us, I'm promising. Especially in the Montreal area. It's a pretty unusual name. On my website I have a lot of information and a lot of EFT resources too if people are interested. I have a whole page of EFT resources.
Great. And upcoming events as well.
And yes, I have an events page so for the classes and because I love to teach classes. So.
And you also have a Facebook
I do.
page group that's quite prominent. Do you want to tell us a bit
It's
about
for Montreal local people who want to go to events, and so people can post spiritual, holistic events and other, anything related to that, or ask questions of the community. For me, the whole idea of that, it's called Montreal Lightworkers, and it's the whole idea for me was community, to build face-to-face connections. Like this is how I met most of you.
That's right.
Yes.
From going to events where I met people, and the events I found them through other friends, but this is one central place for people to go and find them.
Great. So another way to get in touch with you and find out about this community and all the cool things happening in Montreal and around too, or?
Yes, Montreal area, like within an hour and a half,
Okay.
2 hours maximum. So if you have an event, you can go there, join the group and post it if you're hosting an event. And if you want to go to an event and you don't know where to go to the page and you'll find lots and lots of stuff. It's not just my stuff, it's really everyone in the community posts their events there.
That's great.
It's very interesting.
Well, Kelly Roughton, Healing Journey co-pilot and hypnotist. Thank you so much for being with us.
It's a mouthful, eh?
Yes, it is. I had to practice.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, and there you go. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.